All right, so we're gonna be doing something a little bit different today. It's gonna be a autopsy of how exactly I screwed up my own character designs. So usually I teach you how to make better character designs, but lately it just hasn't been happening for me. So we're just gonna go through and roast my own attempts at character designs because every time I pick up art again, like my favorite thing to do is redesign my characters. So I thought that I'd do that today, and I fumbled. I fumbled hard. So that's what we're gonna be going through and picking apart today. Is sometimes you miss the mark, and the thing to do is analyze. Wow, what did I just swallow? Analyze it and figure out what you did wrong, and then back to the drawing board. Sometimes you screw up, sometimes you fall short, and the only thing to do is figure out what you did wrong and hop back on that horse. So that's what we're gonna do today. Hello, and welcome back. My name is Arthur, and this is I Dream of Entropy, the YouTube show where I show you fumbling my own character designs while I lecture you about how to do your own. Um, I'm incredibly sorry. I'm frustrated. I recorded this once before, and it turns out the audio did not actually record my voice. I saw my little VTuber model, or not VTuber model, PNG tuber model. We're sophisticated here. Uh, I saw him bopping around and assumed that because he was responding to the audio from the microphone, that the audio from the microphone was being recorded. It was not. So, here is my attempt at designing one of my favorite characters. This is a character from a series I am not prepared to work on yet. The idea for it is a serial comic about a young witch that, has to juggle learning magic while hiding his magical abilities from the law. It's very fun. I think it's very fun, at least. And the idea for this main character is he's kind of an edgelord, right? He's like this emo boy from Seven Cities, from Norfolk specifically. And I used to live in Norfolk. There's just like a feel to the place, It's kind of oppressive. Like, it's a feel that's incredibly unique, but also incredibly depressing. And I thought I would try to encapsulate that feeling in this character. And then while I was at it, I was like, well, maybe I can make all of the characters from a different city in Seven Cities, since I'm so familiar with the place. And that's what I decided to do. And so this is like a 19-year-old witch that has just gotten his witch mark. Like, he's just figuring out how to learn, or how to use magic. And the allegory here, the themes, is kind of like queer artistic types, right? Like neurodivergent people. That's kind of where I'm going with this, is the themes for this is like people who kind of think differently, and are kind of persecuted for that difference, right? So that was the idea. And the main character is kind of this guy who was not a very nice person in high school. He kind of started a rumor about this girl, that she hooked up with him to try and make himself sound cooler, because he they were really good friends, and he had one of her nudes, and so he spread this really nasty rumor about her. And then it was found out, and of course it backfired because he was the jerk who spread the rumor about this girl, right? So, he doesn't have very many friends, because he kind of burned all of his bridges in high school. So I'm starting him out. Well, he has a friend. The guy that, he's friends with, he kind of lent him a place to stay while he was transitioning in secret. So that's the backstory between him and his, best friend. And they're super cool. He is... So his best friend is this jock named Russell, who's the opposite of him socially. He's just, he just kind of knows what to do. He gets it, right? Whereas this guy doesn't understand what to do. He's, trying to be cool. He kind of has a bit of a superiority complex in the way that, you know how edgelords kind of have that superiority complex. They think that other people are just not as intelligent as them, right? Or too sensitive, or that kind of thing, right? Edgelords just kind of have that going on, and I wanted to give him sort of that vibe, where he's naive in that way. He doesn't know what he doesn't know. The Dunning-Kruger effect is at the top of the swing, right? And so that's kind of what I wanted to go for with his design, is very aloof, very doesn't care what you think. I wanted him to kind of, and in reality, it's masking insecurity. That's almost always what it is. So he's, a bit of an edgelord. I wouldn't go as far as to say incel. I would say that he's, he just kind of thinks that he's a victim of being smarter than everybody else. Which is the way that, a lot of edgelords kind of thought at the time, in the early 2000s, is kind of this kind of person was your peer in high school. And it's kind of like a story about him growing out of that mindset and becoming more community focused. And it's the main character is losing his main character syndrome, if that makes sense. Because, suddenly he goes from, teenage edgelord to, oh, there's something about me, that actually it makes a difference whether or not, I'm in community with other people. Whether or not I see myself as, separate from other people or not. It's basically a story about him growing up. He's 19. He doesn't, he's a little bit embarrassing to watch stumble because he doesn't know any better. He doesn't know much at the point that he's in this story. And I kind of wanted to make him, not good at much, right? To start out, he's even a little depressed and insecure about the fact that he's not very good at very much. He can't skate for shit. He's not all that funny. He's not the best looking guy in the world. He can't hold down a job for more than 3 or 4 months at a time. He actually, the start of the story is him getting fired, because he comes in late out of uniform after a harrowing experience. And I like making the stakes like that for my characters. I like really putting him in a messed up place. He gets kicked out of the house. Not because he loses the job, although losing the job definitely does suck. Him and his mom live in kind of a bad apartment you know? And a bad apartment in Norfolk is, you can imagine, right? And on top of that, they can't afford it. So, like, you know, but it isn't about him losing the job. She actually kicks him out because of the shady stuff that he's doing in the house in secret. Which, you know, at the time he was doing it was illegal. I mean, like, because he didn't have a license, but becomes doubly illegal, like, as things change. So, in this universe, you have, like, all kinds of, magical, I don't want to say creepies, but, like, creepy crawlies, but, like, there's all sorts of, like, magical beings and entities and stuff. And normally, you know, when it becomes a problem, you'd hire a witch to come take care of it. But the tech industry came up with a solution that simply sterilizes an area. Like, sterilizes it magically. So nothing spiritual or magical exists in that area. And as they're working on getting government contracts to, like, implement it, you know, citywide, they're gonna, like, test it out. They stop renewing witches' licenses. So, like, it starts becoming very, very illegal very quickly. But, like, it turns out that sterilizing an area of all, like, magical energy is bad. But that doesn't come up until later. It's a whole lot. There's a whole lot of lore that I've come up with for why the characters are at odds with the law and why, you know, this sort of thing is happening. I wanted it to be like a mix of, like, witches just kind of being, you know, associated with creepy stuff. Like you wouldn't want, you know, some weird magical thing near you, you know? Because, like, it's icky. Like in the same way that a roach is icky, you know? Like, you don't want some weird spooky thing standing outside your house staring into your windows. That's weird, right? Here I'm giving him, like, different clothes. I'm trying to get a feel for him. Like, I know that I want him lanky, because it gives a lot of potential for thick and thins in design. Like, especially when you add clothes. And I know I want to give him those early 2000s, you know, post 9/11 kind of like emo look, like the trip pants and the, you know, suspenders and the platform shoes. I think here I was trying to give him those like V-shaped platforms. I don't know if you've ever seen somebody wear those. I think they're really cool, but I don't think it works with his design too well. But yeah, I wanted something that kind of screams young, naive, and at the top of that Dunning-Kruger hill, you know? Like, he thinks highly of himself in all of the wrong ways and lowly of other people in all the wrong ways, you know? And I think part of it's where he lives. Like, people do kind of suck in, Seven Cities. I can attest. But I've left and I've learned a few things, and sometimes, you know, it's good to be in community with people, actually. It rocks, actually. Yeah. I'm really having a difficult time here. Finding a pose for him, it's just really hard. Oh, I think this is the point where I left the room for a second. I hope that it was important. Come on. There we go. I want to give him, like, a narrow face. Like, you know how sometimes anime characters will have, like, a really narrow jaw and, like, a narrow face. I thought that that would look cool for him, especially with his big, fluffy, like, greasy hair. I wanted to give him, like, a little narrow face to put in that big, poofy head. I really am struggling with poses here. And making his body a little bit too masculine. He has a masculine, like, frame, but he's not a very muscular guy. Like, not early in the series, at least. He's like, I want him to be really lanky and thin. So I don't know what I'm doing here, but I think I'm just kind of letting the pose, you know, drag everything with it. I don't know what I'm doing here. Superhero pose? I don't know. It just doesn't work. I think a lot of it is a learning curve. Like, I've got a really steep learning curve with digital art. I'm actually not that adept. Like, I know that I'm putting myself out there, but it's only to motivate me to actually do the work. Because I know that if I have X many YouTube videos that I need to do, I will sit down and make that much, you know, footage. I will sit down and draw. The YouTube videos, oddly enough, are motivating me to do everything else. But this really almost knocked the motivation out of me. Like, this is my favorite character and I can't design him, y'all. Like, I can't make a new updated design for my favorite guy. This is bothering me. Oh, I don't know if I gave you the name. Nathan Crawford. Yeah. And I kind of like this pose, but I don't like his eyes, you know? I think I'm giving his eyes too much of a sweetness to them. I want him to be, like, a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, I want his eyes to look kinda bored and dejected, you know? And to be fair, the guy doesn't have a lot of social prospects, and the guy doesn't have, like, a whole lot of prospects in general. Like, he's a burnout that kind of just, you know, smokes and has the one hobby. So, like, I don't know, I think I did well enough on the shape of his face. I just don't like the way that I did those eyes, and I don't like the way that his clothes are laying. I don't think that I'm thinking enough about the forms here. His arms are too small. There's just a whole lot. There's a whole lot that I'm noticing now, looking back on it, where, yeah, I could have improved. I could have improved a whole lot. I do like some of the clothes I came up with. I think here I was again trying to give him those like V-shaped wedge like platform shoes. That didn't work. And then I really like those outfits with the really baggy, like, short sleeve over the really baggy long sleeve that Jesse Pinkman wore in Breaking Bad. I really like those. I think that those would look those would look good with this character's design. I also really like just the baggy, jeans and the baggy shorts, and that works well with him in particular, because he's got like these opinions of himself that he's kind of, I don't know what the word is. He thinks that other people are kind of like posers and fake, and you know, he thinks he's not because he thrifted a pair of like trip jeans. It's an idea for a very specific type of guy, you know? Like, maybe you knew this guy in high school, or maybe you were this guy in high school, I don't know. But, yeah. And I give him, like, struggles, too. Like, him and his mom live in that bad apartment in Norfolk, and it's, you know, it's not the best. But I really like the idea of, like, of him learning as a person, you know, as he's learning this craft. Like, I like the idea that he grows as a person and becomes a more responsible and active member in his community, like, because of this thing that he's gotten really into, you know? Because I think that's how it happens. Like, revolutions aren't created by, like, they're created by everyday people, you know, because I want to really emphasize the, I don't want to say monotony of this kind of struggle, but like the averageness of it. Like people think about these laws when they're passing them that, you know, limit personal freedoms, like they're abstractions, and they think about like this amorphous thing. Like in this universe, they're witches, right? It's just some amorphous thing, this group of people that are very uncommon, you know, it doesn't affect most people, but these are real people with real lives, you know? You think about, like, well, it's June when I'm recording this, YouTube, so don't demonetize me, but you think about, like, queer people. They're people with real lives. Like, my girlfriend, she just got her facial feminization surgery. Wouldn't have happened without Medicaid. And I can tell you she's a million times happier. Like, I wouldn't have had top surgery without insurance. Like, the insurance that I had brought that bill down to $200. I wouldn't have that otherwise, you know? And these are real people with real lives, with real struggles, not these abstract amorphous things. And when you limit personal freedoms, like the way that I'm trying to write it in this comic, like, it affects real people, like, not just these imaginary abstractions or whatever you've been told by your, you know, pastor, your, you know, public official. I'm rambling and ranting and definitely not beating the bread tube allegations, so I'm gonna shut up and just get back to the art before I get demonetized for being a loud queer. But yeah, this is my boy. I am still attempting to... I think I'm doing better on his anatomy, giving him that lanky, almost sickly-looking body with the slouch. I think that is something to keep in mind, like... Because, you know, the way that he acts is a little, like, arrogant, but It's to mask an insecurity. Because, like, he knows he has no skills and no prospects. Like, he's 19, he doesn't know anything about anything yet. It would be weird if he were secure. And I guess I'm satisfied enough with this design, but it's not the best I can do, and I know it. And it's frustrating me. That's the thing about being an artist, is like you're never satisfied. At least I'm not. I don't know if other artists have, you know, this feeling of never being satisfied with your work. Sometimes it does just take walking away from it, because I can see what's good in this design, and, you know, I started out this video really wanting to come in and roast the designs, just dunk on them, but, like, I can see potential in these designs. Like, I can see what I'm going for, it's just not there, you know, it's not where I want it to be. And I guess the thing to do for that is to walk away from it, because I'm not prepared to make this comic anyway. Like, I work a full-time job, and it takes the majority of my time and energy to work this full-time job. I don't really have the energy to make a serialized, full-length comic series. Like, I don't have that kind of energy right now. So I'm thinking I'm gonna do a short story. I'm filming this in, I want to say this was end of May. It's June now. Well, I'm recording the voiceover in June, and it drops in July. So hopefully I'll have more to show by then. Like, if you find me on other social media, you'll probably see this one that I'm working on now, and you'll probably see some from the project that I'm talking about, but I want to make... The goal is to make a comic, right? But seeing as how I haven't made a comic since I was in high school, I don't think that My Darling is the place to begin. This comic, I'm not ready for. I'm not ready to even touch it. Look at him. That's my baby. I don't have the bandwidth to make a comic for my baby. That's something I'll be proud of. And I know that. So this isn't the thing to work on now. And I'm not just saying that because I fumbled the design. I'm saying that because I know it's not the thing to work on now. Because it's too precious to me. So I need to work on something short. Something that's digestible, something that I won't be so worried about screwing up. Because, you know, if it's your favorite character, you don't want to immediately jump in when you don't have the skill to do what you want to do. And that's where I'm at, because I'm at a learning curve with my design. You know, I'm still rusty when it comes to comic books, and I'm still novice when it comes to digital art. So I'm trying to stack on all of these things, like everything I've learned and everything that I've compounded, and I'm trying to do this all at the same time as remaining employed, being like the breadwinner for my little family unit and being autistic. I promise I'm doing the best I can. If you want to send me a few bucks on coffee, that would be awesome. That would definitely go towards me buying some equipment. So I think the real problem that I'm having here is the the inability to like simplify the forms that I'm trying to have on his outfit, because I'm gonna draw this over and over again for assumedly years if it's gonna be a serialized comic. You know, I want to do something that's easy to draw over and over again, and that I won't get bored drawing over and over again. And I think the thing that would really, like, really force me out of my head here would be a character model sheet. I've been looking at some professional character model sheets, and that's what I'm gonna do different for this process coming up. So I've got one more of these fumbling videos to show you before I show you the project that I'm gonna work on for my first comic. I say my first comic because it's gonna be the first one that I've actually finished. Like, the ones from middle school, high school, and college never actually got finished. But these, like, I'm determined to finish something and have it published, like, by the end of next year. Either self-publishing or, you know, or what have you, but by the end of next year, I want to see something I made in print. That's the goal. It's a steep goal, but I think I can get there if I break this idea for a short story I have into like 3 35-page comics. That will be the one that I'll talk about next. But for right now, I'm just getting into how I fumbled this design. I am trying something new where I'll select a color palette before I go into color, and I think that this is helpful to kind of limit the colors that I'm working with. I like to select a like background color that contrasts with the like a foreground color that contrasts with the background color, and that'll be kind of like an underlayer. Well, not underlayer. It's more like a hidden color. Like, if this were a canvas, this is the color I would paint first, and then I would paint all of these, you know, little detail colors over top of it, and it would be something that, you know, would ensure that it would stay separate from the background. I love rendering skin. Rendering skin is just one of those relaxing, like, activities. Like, it's like coloring. It's like a coloring book. You know, it's very, very nice, and, you know, you can notice new things every time you do it. Like, the skin has all sorts of little, you know, hidden colors in it. Hidden undertones, and there's, you know, lights and shadows and midtones and contrast, and rendering skin is fun. I like rendering skin, even if I'm still not that great at it. He's the kind of guy that wears makeup and nail polish, and it's like less to do with a gender thing and more to do with a scene thing, like an aesthetic. He likes black. He likes the color black. He likes, you know, he likes an emo aesthetic. It was actually very unpopular to be emo, like, back when the genre was popular. It's funny, because you know everybody was bumping MCR. You know that. Like, they can all deny it, but they were all bumping MCR. You know that they were teenagers scared. Yeah, you know. They can deny it all they want. Everybody knows that that rocks. I also forgot to color these studs in his collar, and I'm a little embarrassed. But, you know, I fumbled this anyway. At this point, I'm mostly just rambling. And, you know, I do think that this design has potential. It's just not what I want, and I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated that I don't have the character, like, where I want him to be. And I know I'm not the first artist to, you know, complain about not being able to, you know, get a character right, or to get something where I want it to be, or to not be where I want my skills to be at in a new medium. Like, I know that, right? YouTube actually gives me something to commit to so that I can make sure that I'm still doing these things. And it forces me to analyze my own art. I have a hard time, like, with self-critique, and I'm very sensitive. So, critique from others, no matter how nice it is, makes me want to cry. So I'm not, you know, I understand, right, when I'm doing poorly, because I can see it. It's easy for me to see, and I know that an outsider's perspective would definitely help me figure out what it is that I'm doing wrong. But right now I'm just so frustrated that I can't hear anything anybody else has to say about it. You know what I mean? Like, you know when you're in the process of, like, I don't know, scrubbing down windows at a store because you work there, and somebody comes in to tell you you missed a spot, and he thinks he's the funniest person on the planet. Yeah, that's how it feels, you know? That's how it feels when I'm in the process of trying to fix my art, and somebody's like, well, you know, actually, this would work better, and I'd be like, you know what, you son of a bitch? It would. Thank you. Now never speak to me again. No, but I'm having a lot of fun here. Like, I complain a lot about, you know, my work not being where I want it to be, and wanting to, you know, like, because I see all these great artists and I know what's possible, and I know what I'm capable of, and when I'm not doing it, it makes me upset. Because I'm not seeing the improvement that I want to see as fast as I want to see it. I think what I'm trying to say is you should be giving yourself a break also. Like, yeah, definitely, you know, constantly be looking for ways to improve. But don't be so obsessed with improvement that it keeps you from finishing things. And don't be, you know, so stuck on one single project that you can't finish anything else. Like, at that point, just let the project go. And that's what I decided to do. I decided it wasn't time for this. Like, after, this is what, the umpteenth attempt, I was like, you know, if this is the best I got, I don't think it's time to do this series. I think it's time to switch gears and work on something else. And that's what I ended up doing. Is this, you know, any good? Yeah, I mean, it's alright. I've seen worse. I've done worse, you know. It's just not what I want this comic to look like. So I don't think I'm gonna start with this particular like universe. I think I'm gonna go with something else. But I am having a great time doing this. And so I wanted to share the fumbling, because there's always something to be learned from failure. You need to give yourself the space to make ugly art, and you need to give yourself the space to fail. Because we learn a lot more from our failures than our successes. And you have to make ugly art to make good looking art, right? Like, you'll figure out what's wrong eventually. It probably would be faster if I opened myself up to critique a little more readily. I'm sensitive. I understand, though. I do understand that if I want to improve, I should get advice from real artists. I mean, other artists, you know? Because the most that, like, my friends can really offer is, it doesn't look right. And I'm like, yeah, I know that. How? Okay. I can at least take solace in the fact that I made it, you know? A lot of people will, like, praise AI art for the style when it's, like, the same style as... It's, like, the same style as the 5 popular artists, and they can do it better. And if you commissioned them, they'd be able to give you exactly what you wanted. But, like, it's also a predictable art style, like... I like when I make things for them to look like they're mine. I like for it to be obvious that I made them. Because otherwise, what's the point in even making things? I'm having a great time with this tool. This is one of the free brushes from Clip Studio Paint. I like using the assets in Clip Studio Paint. It's a good time experimenting with, like, all the free brush sets and all the free, like, all the free stuff. I love free stuff. I don't like the expression I did for him here. I think I mentioned that before. I've recorded this twice, so I may have mentioned it in the other recording and not here, but I really don't like the expression I gave him. It's just... too gentle. But I think that's why we experiment, and why we do things like make character model sheets and, you know, like, draw the character many times before you even make a reference sheet. I think that's one of the correct things I did here, is really give a lot of drawings before I really, like, went in to figure out what to do. I don't like how it turned out, but I'm an artist, so I'm never gonna actually be satisfied with my work. When am I gonna add the spooky scary guy? There he is! I have, like, a little spirit looming in the background. This is a lurker. So I think I've talked about lurkers earlier, but it's an idea for, like, one of the spirits that exists in this universe. And they're benign, but, like, unsettling. Because, like, they, like, pick a person and just follow them around. and it's very unclear what they want. So, like, getting them to leave is almost impossible. I haven't decided if I want to call them, like, a lurker or a peeper because of their, like, tendency to peep into people's windows. But I thought that it would be a fun, you know, idea to have him, like, attach himself to Nathan and then follow him around. And, like, I don't know, I think Nathan would probably think it was cool at first, and then he would, like, start following him to the bathroom, and then he would be like, okay, you gotta go. Well, there it is. I'm probably going to remain unsatisfied, but that's just how I am. I'm just dissatisfied with my work 90% of the time. On the bright side, it keeps me improving. Like, being dissatisfied with your work as an artist I think it comes with the territory. If you're, like, one of those artists that's just, like, always drawing, you know, like, always looking for ways to improve, it's bound to happen. You're never going to be satisfied. So, don't be hard on yourself. I swear, you know, I thought I knew what I was doing. But I guess I don't. I guess I'm completely clueless. Well, y'all, I apologize for the disappointment. I promise I'm more disappointed than you. It's been a while since I've made a YouTube video, but this is new for you. I am very happy to have you all here. If you liked this one, if you want to see the next 3 or 4 videos that I have planned specifically about this character design process and the character design process for the comic that I'm working on, please subscribe. I will be coming out with new videos at least once a month. And aside from that, I have my various accounts across social media. I am doing this for free, but if you feel like sending me a tip, my coffee shop is linked below. I will see you all in the next video. Peace.